I'm a big fan of skin divers, and whenever I see a new one, I tend to click on it and get stuck in a vortex of similar watches, and sooner or later this will hurt my wallet. This is definitely my favorite type of watch. They are small but tough and usually quite slim, which is perfect for my needs. There are so many of them out there. For instance, the Vulcane Skin Diver, which I've tried to get my hands on for a long time, but unfortunately the larger brands are not usually that interested in sending out watches for loans. Anything within the Swatch group, so like Cetina for example, is usually a no too, so that leaves you with the only option of buying one. Fair enough too, but in Australia a lot of these watches aren't represented locally, so trying one on before forking out a large sum of money is not an easy equation. I'm on the newsletter from Lume watches and the Evant caught my eye. It's a classic smallish skin diver watch with a very bold design language and a beads of rice bracelet. When you tend to film and review as much as I do, a watch design that stands out is more likely to draw the attention, so I'm quite interested to see what my audience has to say about this one today. Evant is a brand conceived in 2015 and sell their watches exclusively through Lume watches. I asked Lume for a loan, so this one will go back after review, which is a shame since I can definitely see my uncle in Sweden for some reason liking this. He is my favorite uncle, but not so favorite that I fork out $585 on him. That price is a little higher than what you normally find for some of these types of watches, and the answer as to why lies in insisting on a Swiss movement. And some elements here are very good, like for instance the bracelet and overall solid construction. There are one or two small concerns, but if you like what you see here, then stick around and we'll take a closer look together. Thank you for being here today. It means a lot for my small channel if you would consider a like and subscribe. Drop me a comment too if you like. So let's cover sizes first. We're looking at a 39.5mm diameter and a lug width of 20mm. Lug to lug is 49.5mm and is 13.1mm thick, including the 3mm domed crystal. A bit thicker than your average skin diver, but when you realize it's waterproof to 300 meters, that makes sense. The weight sized up for me is 132 gram and we get a 2-year warranty. It is a rather intriguing watch face today, in no small part due to the large indices and the dramatic fume effect. However, if this is not to your liking, there are the Polestar models too that have much more regular sized indices. This Tropic Diver 39 Viridian has a much more bluish green dial than I expected. The pictures are more ice blue. The Evant wordmark is printed nicely against that lovely sunburst bluish green. And the logo at just above the 6 is applied and definitely good enough quality to have a macro lens shoved in its face. All these indices are applied and are very good quality too. There is a smallish date complication at 3, which is too small for me to see, but it may be different for you. There are definitely plenty of vintage touches throughout this watch, and the domed crystal offers up some fun distortions at certain angles. Overall, this is a pretty cool looking dial in my opinion. The oversized indices do perhaps overshadow the hands a tiny bit, but I do like how the minute hand in particular matches the large circles around the dial, and it also resists yet another Mercedes hand, so thanks for that. Holding this thick crystal in place is the Bakelite ceramic bezel, that's all loomed up as we shall see later. Its 120 clicks feels okay. It's a little tight and it would be hard to move with wet hands, but it does line up, which is important in this price range. The case is mainly brushed with a few polished edges, which I like. You won't go and scratch this immediately, thankfully. I also like the long lugs, which will look extra nice with various strap combinations, but unfortunately we don't see any drilled lugs here. The crown is signed and easy to grip, and as per the inspiration behind it, no crown guards here, which leaves it looking nice and clean in its approach. Flipping the watch over and we get a really attractive treatment of the logo, and surrounded by some specs. No room for engraving here and no options for a see-through caseback, and that's okay. The Sellita SW200-1 behind the caseback is a workhorse of a movement and will attract those of you that only buys watches with Swiss movements. Yes, I know you're out there. It's a 38-hour power reserve, which is adequate. I can't help but thinking that offering a Miyota option would make this a little more affordable overall, but that's just a thought. The bracelet is quite a looker. Whether you like these beads or rice bracelets or not, and for the record, I do, you can't deny that they are incredibly comfortable and follows your wrist perfectly. Whilst they can get a little stuck sometimes, they do fall right off the edges of the lugs, so all wrist sizes are looked after. It tapers down to 18mm from 20 at the case. It's a pin and collar adjustment, which is understandable. If this had screws, they would be tiny. And push pins are, as usual, a bit fiddly initially, but after that you're all set. The buckle offers no less than 7 micro adjusts, so you will get a good fit. The press clasp is probably my only real complaint. It's a friction style clasp, which again is a faithful vintage design, so you have to push it hard into your wrist, and it's hard to really tell if it's actually shut without sticking a finger in underneath, and I don't like that. Give me a slim push-release clasp and would be all okay here. It is signed and the slimline look is attractive, but it leaves me wanting in the functionality department. The Lume, as you would expect with these large indices, is pretty impressive. This is yet another brand that is exclusive to Nomon, and it has impressed me anyway. There's nothing wrong with a well-spec'd and unusual looking watch, and this is one of those. The Polestar designs are a bit more discreet, but this one will draw looks and possibly the odd question or two. The eye-catching dial and bracelet and the strong lume will impress in real life, and if you don't have a skin diver design in your collection, this is a nice way to dip your toes. The vintage crystal feel, Bakelite ceramic bezel, and I guess unfortunately the press friction clasp all adds to the vintage skin diver feel, and this is a good thing. I've enjoyed my time with it, and thanks to Nomon once again for the loan. What do you think now that you've seen it both on the wrist and out in nature? Are you likely to buy one? Let me know in the comments, and thank you again for watching.